now kings, and to solve humanity's problems of tiny territory and scarce natural resources, they aggressively expanded outward. Their campaign went fairly smoothly. In succession, they subjugated a flugel, won over an elf, and merged with the werebeast nation, the Eastern Union. Then, before Blank had even decided which race to go after next, the Dampiers and Seiren came knocking on their own, two races that, for various reasons, were on the brink of extinction. To save them, Blank and company headed to the beach, ready to board a welcome ship to the Seiren capital, Oceando.
I'm already bored. After the morning's farce ended, Sora and Azuna spent the whole time under the trees playing PSP, shogi, tic-tac-toe, and other games. Of course, Sora's reaction didn't mean he was bored of playing with Azuna. It was that Sora had gotten fed up with waiting. Jabril, do you have the location? Yes, the position the masters calculated should be correct. Good, that's enough. Do it. As you command. It turned out Shiro had already deduced Oceando's location from its trade patterns, and the reason she did so was to avoid waiting for the welcome ship that wouldn't arrive until midnight, and instead head to Oceando ourselves. All right, everyone, step back. I wonder how many years it's been since I last used this. How exciting. The moment Jabril finished speaking, she began draining all the spirits around her. Well then, Master, I'll use about 5% of my full power. Here goes! An explosion that shook the earth roared out, and the entire sea surface was blasted open by Jabril's Heaven's Peak. The reason Jabril could fire off Heaven's Peak is because Sora trusted that the Covenant's binding force would take effect. Any attack carrying malice would be cancelled, which is to say, an attack that can be carried out won't harm anyone. This way, Jabril, now able to visually see the Seiren capital, could teleport at any time. Since Jabril's teleportation still has the limits of must be able to see it and must have been there before, that's why Sora had her split the sea. All right, everyone, let's go. Grab onto Jabril. I expect there won't be air in Oceando, so I'll teleport everything within a 200-meter radius of air along with us. Ready? And Blank and the other worlders all vanished from the beach.
Wow, this is really something. The spot they teleported to was a high platform overlooking all of Oceando. As far as the eye could see, they beheld a rather magnificent undersea city. Everyone, remember how I said last episode that the Seiren are dumb? Yes, with their intelligence, there's no way they could have built this city. So the ones who built it were the Dampiers. You lot? There should be a limit to playing dumb. Normally, splitting the sea and barging into someone's capital would definitely be seen as full of hostility, so Miko raising this point was quite reasonable. But what caught everyone completely off guard was that these merfolk actually welcomed Blank and company with dancing and waving. Since they were all underwater while Blank and the other worlders were inside the air Jabril brought, their voices couldn't reach across. I'll go back and explain to them, and take some blood while I'm at it. I'll use that power to cast an underwater breathing spell on everyone, and after that we can lift the air wall. The moment she finished, Plum burst through the air wall and dove into the water. The Seiren, huh? Are they really idiots? Or maybe... Hello, everyone! I'm Her Majesty the Queen's representative, Amira. Totally fine. Yep. Idiots. After Jabril lifted the air wall, the Seiren's plenipotentiary immediately stepped forward to greet Blank and company. Even down here on the seafloor, the rumors about you two have reached us, the miracle kings who saved humanity. Just hearing it, you sound like handsome men, And your majesty suits Amira's tastes too. Thank you so much for coming all this way. Honestly, to convey a feeling like this, there's nothing for it but a kiss, right? Ooh, right? No, I'll graciously decline your kindness. Oh, by the way, we've prepared a banquet. Haha. Will you have the meal? Or me? Let's meet the queen first.
Whether it's a meal or something else, we'll discuss it after the audience with the queen. So, under Amira's lead, Sora and company advanced toward Oceando. Upon arriving, Blank and company received an enthusiastic welcome, and seeing how cheerful they all were, everyone became convinced they were dumb to a whole new level. Plum stated that they only eat, sleep, play, and are especially good at mating. Even though fish contain a component that makes you smarter, the fish themselves are dumb. Since we're on the subject of mating, let me take the chance to explain this world's mechanism for producing offspring. First, the 16 races don't interbreed. Even though some of them have similar outward appearances, their souls are entirely different things. Take the Seiren as an example. They obtain another race's soul through mating, then copy it to create a duplicate of themselves. Because this act is even less efficient than the reproduction of ordinary creatures, they have to drain their partner dry to complete this whole sequence. After all that, you can simply understand it as other races are merely material used to strengthen and transform one's own soul. So the traits of the other soul don't get mixed in. Furthermore, for life forms ranked 6th or higher, like the flugel, since their souls are formless, they only have to blend a fixed form race's soul with their own, and in theory, they can still produce a fixed form child.
Jabril, you said all that, and I still don't get what you're trying to say. As long as you order me to bear your children, your humble Jabril is always willing to bear Master's... Jabril, quiet.
Honestly, Sora had his chance at mating cut off yet again. When Blank and the other worlders came to the Queen's chamber, what they saw was a huge block of ice with the Seiren Queen inside it. Here it comes. This queen was quite the mystery. She made everyone except Blank marvel at her charm. I'd say Stephanie is even a cut above her, though. Flattering me that obviously won't make me happy, you know? No, what good does blushing do me right now? Mr. Sora, it's all right. Erectile trouble can be cured. Next time I'll treat you to soft-shelled turtle hot pot. It's absolutely not that. Stop trashing my reputation.
That's right. This trait is the very reason the Seiren can still exist. Even though they have no superior bodies or magic, and their heads aren't much either, thanks to being born with a large amount of crystal inside them, they possess a charm that attracts everything. Because the crystal's pull is like a magnetic attraction, it means Blank, who have no spirits within them, won't have any special reaction to this queen.
Sorry to keep you waiting. Amira, who'd finished arranging the lodging together with Plum, returned to the Queen's chamber. Now then, using Plum's group's magic, I'll have you enter the Queen's dream. Whoever wishes to wake the Queen, please swear on the covenants to stake everything, then touch the crystal. Huh? What are you saying? Is that even necessary? We came to help at your request. Calm down, Steph. You're the one who doesn't get it. We were invited to wake her by clearing the Queen's game. Since the game's premise is to make the other party fall in love with you, then naturally there'd be a set stake required to win the Queen's love, right? Right. Not only a handsome face, not only good looks, but a sharp mind too? That kind of stake is too strange. We came to help. Why should we bear that risk? Because unless we start the game first, the
the whole chain of spells can't be used, and without using them, the queen can't be woken. And the stake the queen demands is, if you want my love, show the resolve to abandon everything. Correct answer. I really don't want to hand you over to the queen. Anyway, we have magic to make the queen truly fall in love, so there won't be a problem, right? Yes, that I can guarantee. But what if the magic fails? The queen who collects the stakes is still asleep, so her possessions are managed by me. Even if the magic fails, I'll return everything exactly as it was, so there's no risk. No, that kind of verbal promise? Fine, no problem. Let's start the game.
Even after hearing Sora's explanation, Steph still felt something was off somewhere. But the others around her didn't stop Sora either, which confused Steph even more. Because it's a dream, the setting can be freely configured, so His Majesty Sora will set it on our behalf, right? But no matter the setting, there's only one victory condition. If someone makes the queen fall in love and wakes her, that's a win. Getting rejected is a loss. The loser will be removed from the game and forfeits everything they staked. All right, please make your oaths. The next second, they entered the dream world. But for some reason, just like the match against the werebeasts, an opening cutscene appeared again, and the otherworlders were in the middle of the open sea. Sorry, please wait just a moment. In an instant, the drowning situation was swapped out like a turning page, and the environment they arrived in was an undersea school, with a dating sim-style command select screen appearing in front of each of them. So basically, as long as it reflects the player's imagination, the setting can easily be changed, right? Yes, only appearance, age, and gender can't be changed. So Sora began changing everyone's clothes. On top of his own I Love Humanity shirt, he added a school uniform jacket. Eno also got a student uniform, though his muscles nearly burst it. Miko, Jabril, and Shiro wore sailor uniforms. Even though the queen once questioned Miko's age via Sora, like men everywhere, looks are everything. As for Steph, she wore a boy's uniform. Sora had her dressed this way for 3 reasons. 1, if you're going to court a female character, Sora wanted a female friend of that character to assist. 2, maybe the queen wasn't into men to begin with. 3, Steph's communication skills are strong. She can serve as an info hub, and as a male friend, she's an excellent choice. Once everyone was ready, the proper opening cutscene appeared again, with the narrator giving a flat, deadpan explanation alongside it. Marine radiance high. There's a legend here. Confess beneath the fabled coral, and you'll gain true love. A legendary romance? Fine. But what the heck is a fabled coral? Even if you say that, There are no trees in the sea? A little while later, the queen, in a school uniform, appeared before everyone, singing. Wow, she really is a beauty. Even her singing voice is one of a kind. Even though everyone praised the queen's beauty endlessly, in Sora's eyes, the queen was like a sexy 3-something big sister playing a high school girl. And this situation left Sora unable to get into it. Although this game was a real romance game, you could actually select commands via the command screen, and among them, the 2 most important were 1, the heart, and 2, the marked heart. The heart command performs an ordinary confession to the queen, but if you use this command and get rejected, that counts as defeat. The marked heart uses a cheat. That is love magic. So then, old man, since you have 30 wives, the number of people you've slept with must exceed that, right?
Use that technique that leaves people in awe and conquer the queen quick.
Not just Sora. Everyone, including Miko, was looking forward to Ino's performance. But what puzzled Ino was, since real-life romance is a battle of the heart, why is it that Sora can't do it? Watching Sora, unable to answer, Ino arrived at his own conclusion. I see. A con artist who lives atop layers upon layers of lies. The words he speaks have no power to convey his feelings to the other person. That line seemed to coolly pinpoint part of Sora's essence. But the man who said it, in the very next second, followed the queen and used the confess command. Beautiful lady, forgive me for calling out to you.
If it's convenient, I'd like you to hear me out for a moment. Oh my, what is it? Please, would you spend one passionate night with me? The one who said this, Ino, was in a kneeling head-to-the-floor posture. Facing this weirdo, the queen gasped. Oh, forgive me, Queen of the Sea. From the moment I saw you, the urge to be one with you has kept overflowing, unable to stop. Please, unite with me passionately. Facing this pervert, the queen simply turned and fled, but Ino grabbed her arm and wouldn't let her leave, continuing his criminal declaration. I want you to feel the heartbeat in my chest, the heat below my waist. My body may already be old, but staking this very life, I will surely satisfy you.
No! Let go of me! As her scream rang out, the queen finally shook off Ino's hand, then spun around and vanished into the school building with a flick of her tail. Please, wait, Your Majesty! Even though such a horrifying thing happened, Ino didn't disappear, which meant Ino didn't count as rejected. And Sora, watching this farce, chose to ignore it and decided to start trying again the next day. The Blank siblings were, of course, still siblings in the game, so they headed to school together. On the way, they ran into Steph, still in her boy's outfit. What the siblings didn't expect was that Steph had already put her super social skills to work, preparing a stack of contact info for the Queen's possible friends, and handed this over to Sora. Why did I just get beaten up? Sorry, it slipped out by accident. Well, I'll take this as reference then. Thanks for the hard work. Just as Steph was about to shyly ask Sora, did my affinity go up? Before she could finish, she was dragged away by a crowd of fangirls. Go get chased to the ends of the earth then. And so, Blank left Steph behind and went to school. At the school gate, they saw Ino still kneeling. Sora used the gift command on Azuna. The gift was a can of herring, but Azuna herself just stared at it, drooling. Seeing Azuna like that made Sora want to switch to Azuna's route instead. Why is everyone ignoring the queen? To that question, Blank said they wanted to raise their initial stats as much as possible so it'd be easier to court her later. And Ino was still kneeling. Miko invited Sora to Takami Lake Park, and the whole group went to enjoy Takami Lake. And Ino was still kneeling. Today, the school was picking clubs. Only, aside from Steph, everyone chose the Go Home Club, while Steph, who joined the student council, glared at Sora with resentment. And Ino was still kneeling. Sora finally used the date command, inviting Miko to a shopping mall where they bought good food and everyone enjoyed a feast. And Ino was still kneeling. Everyone, come to think of it, why do we even have to go to school? Sora snapped everyone out of it, and this made them decide to stop going to school. And then Ino
Sora, on a whim, went to school. But for some reason, a rumor was going around that Sora hurt Steph. Sora originally wanted to ask Steph what was going on, but the moment Steph saw Sora, she ran off. And then it's nothing. On a rare occasion, Sora wanted to head back to school, and before entering, they saw Eno, who had become one with the ground. Though Eno said nothing, his inner voice still cried out loud, "Let me have her!" So insignificant. How insignificant I am. So this is love. Suddenly, the queen floated down before Eno and gazed at him. Could it be? Oh, the two of us are impossible. Yeah, no kidding! But Eno didn't give up. At this moment, the man selected the marked heart and groped the queen's chest. Ha! Just as everyone thought the game was about to end. No, even for love, that's not how it works. This is impossible. And so, Eno was rejected, and this great man's voice, too, vanished from the game. What happened? Wasn't that the surefire method? Why won't the queen let him? No, looking like that, not even the finest magic could pull it off. Are you kidding? Is there anyone more of a man than him? You all agree, right? Shiro, Miko, Jabril? Faced with Sora's question, all three nodded without hesitation. Please calm down. That was just an extreme example. I'll have Lady Amira return Lord Eno, as long as His Majesty Sora plays the game normally one more time. Just as Plum was about to make this request of Sora, what she saw was a man with the eyes of a hunter. One more time? Why? We've already won! After Blank said those two lines, Sora ordered Jabril to destroy the dream. And then, except for Eno, everyone escaped from it. All right, checkmate, we win. Since the game never said it couldn't be interrupted, Blank and company simply left the dream just like that. Jabril, restore the air. At Sora's command, Jabril restored the air that had been compressed into a bubble on the way in, and since Miko could finally breathe air again, she gasped in big gulps. It turned out, Miko, under 20 atmospheres of water pressure, had maintained her blood break state, and the reason she did was to listen to her heart's content for whether these people were lying. Amira had no desire whatsoever to wake the queen. Her account of the stakes the queen had set was also a lie. And Sora wasn't Amira's type either. On the other side, Jabril had also confirmed the love magic did activate normally, and the queen was indeed affected. Having obtained these two pieces of info, I'll say this. Did you really think you could treat us as mere energy? Hearing this, Plum's and Amira's eyes began to waver, while Steph and Izuna still hadn't grasped the current situation. All right, Jabril, let's head back to the beach. Please wait for me. Lord Ino is still here. Is it really okay to leave this early? Yeah, it's fine. We'll come again. Seniorin, the price for underestimating us is very steep. What on earth is going on? Nothing much. Plum was trying to set us up. It turned out Sora had noticed Plum's lie from the very start. She falsely claimed to have a surefire strategy, tricking us into playing an unwinnable game so we'd lose everything. That way, she'd profit more. At the very beginning, since Sora couldn't tell whether Plum was lying, and Izuna beside him showed no reaction either, Sora later brought Plum before Miko. But Plum still wasn't lying. It was precisely this perfect non-lying that made Sora notice something was off. If we win that game,
What price do we receive? Plum's answer then was, Oceando will provide 30% of its resources, plus permanent friendly relations between the two realms. And you can do whatever you want with me. In that exchange of question and answer, there was no lie. But there was no truth either.
Steph, before the game started, didn't you protest?
Yes, you were right. I denied you in order to draw out information. So Sora began explaining this whole string of inconsistencies. It turned out that what Sora and company had entered, in horse racing terms, was an investment where Sora and company were forced to bet on themselves winning, while also having to compete. To put it more simply, there were 2 layers of games running. The first layer, Oceando's 30% of resources, the friendly relations, and Plum are merely the reward for when the queen wakes. These are outside the dream, provided by the Seiren and Dampiers. But the second layer, the game reward the queen herself prepared, which hadn't been claimed.
On this point, Plum deliberately said nothing. Also, before Sora and company entered the sea, Plum never once said, "This game is 100% safe." And the reason she didn't is simple. Because if she had, the lie would have been instantly exposed. In short, this game actually had 2 schemes behind it. First, the Seiren were betting the queen would win and planned to use the queen's game to turn humanity into prey. Second, the Dampier were betting Sora and company would win and would use that to free the Dampiers. All right, so what kind of reward from the queen would make the Seiren prefer to keep the status quo and make the Dampiers judge that getting it would help free themselves? The answer is the queen's everything. Because the queen is the plenipotentiary, if her everything is won, whoever wins it gains everything of the Seiren. So the Seiren don't want anyone to win it. And so the Dampiers want to win it. The truth above was actually deduced by Sora before he went to the beach. But constrained by a lack of concrete evidence, Sora could only make the trip to Oceando in person. For this trip, Sora deliberately brought Plum to the beach to wait for sunset, then had Miko and Jabril pretend to play in the water, testing whether they could use a certain method to disguise the blood break. While playing in the water, he had Jabril go out to the open ocean to confirm Oceando's location, and the fatigue from Miko's morning blood break was restored with Shiro's help. Once Miko recovered, instead of waiting for the possibly a trap welcome ship, they used Jabril's teleport magic to go directly. In the water, they engineered a Plum must leave situation. Blank and company needed blood in order to cast underwater breathing magic, forcing Plum to step away temporarily. During that window, Jabril compressed and stored the air she'd brought, and simultaneously applied an interference measure to Miko, nullifying Plum's underwater magic. Without the magic's interference, Miko could meet Amira in her blood break state, and thereby detect whether these people were lying. And in the end, during the Queen's game, Plum's magic did activate, yet the Queen still didn't awaken. In other words, the condition for the Queen to wake isn't making the Queen fall in love. Since Amira had always known this, she let the Dampiers keep bringing challengers. And with things at this point, basically if they just left the trapped Ino to his fate, both Dampiers and Seiren would face a dead end. And to avoid accelerating their extinction, their only choice was unconditional surrender. That's something I can't accept. I don't want Grandpa to die. But if just one person endures it, that solves it, right? To sacrifice the few for the many, that isn't even a necessity. It's an inevitability. These three had differing views on this sacrificing Ino. But Blank had no intention of sacrificing Ino at all. Well then, to wake the Queen, we'll launch a fresh operation. Blank planned to wake the queen without relying on Plum's magic, using only their own abilities. Because once the queen wakes, neither race goes extinct. And after obtaining the queen's everything, they can even use it to trade Eno back. With the strategic direction set, the current problem is, what will it take for the queen to wake? Since it's very possible no one even knows the answer, they'd have to gather more info related to the queen. And so, the first target would be the Flugel homeland that collected a great many books. Oftentime.
Because going there would very likely mean playing a game against the Flugel, Blank, besides bringing Gibril, would also have Plum come along. As for the remaining Miko, Steph, and Izuna, Sora told Miko to rest and had Steph and Izuna investigate the late king's records. The reason he had them investigate is that Sora judged the late king, who was able to unravel the Eastern Union's game, must have done reconnaissance on neighboring nations. And so, after arranging everyone's tasks, Volume 4 came to a complete close.